Now let us see, what is the impact of COVID-19 in the region of ASEAN? The Indonesia economic growth. Indonesia economic activity will be tepid ahead on the impact of COVID-19 on domestic and external demand. However, fiscal and monetary stimulus should prop up the economy somewhat. The government's slow health response and financial volatility pose downside risks, while the potential passage of the omnibus bill aimed at improving the business environment is an upside risk. FocusEconomics panelists expect GDP growth of 1.9% in 2020, which is down 2.6 percentage points from last month's forecast, and 5.6% in 2021. Meanwhile, the Malaysia economic growth. The COVID-19 crisis is expected to push the economy into recession this year. Containment measures, rising unemployment and deteriorated sentiment will hamper domestic demand, while exports look set to shrink on muted global demand, fragile commodity prices, and diminished tourism. Political risks also cloud the outlook. FocusEconomics panelists see the economy contracting 1.6% in 2020, which is down 4.4 percentage points from last month's forecast, before rebounding and growing 5.7% in 2021. But the Philippines' economic growth. The economic fallout is set to upend 8 years of above 6.0% growth. The deteriorating labor market, weaker remittances, and depressed sentiment will drag on consumer spending, while investment is poised to decline amid suspended infrastructure projects. That said, aggressive fiscal and monetary stimulus should buffer the slowdown. FocusEconomics panelists see GDP expanding 1.4% in 2020, which is down 3.8 percentage points from last month's forecast, and 6.8% in 2021. The Singapore economic growth. The COVID-19 pandemic will drive the economy into a contraction this year, as it will rock domestic and external activity by depressing trade, manufacturing and tourism. While fiscal stimulus should cushion the impact of the fallout somewhat, it will not be able to ward off a recession. FocusEconomics panelists project the economy to contract 4.5% in 2020, which is down 4.3 percentage points from last month, and to grow 4.8% in 2021. While the Thailand economic growth. The economy is expected to shrink this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which will weigh heavily on global trade, manufacturing and tourism. The government's fiscal stimulus, coupled with monetary policy action, should cushion the downturn somewhat. However, it will be insufficient to prevent a contraction. Our panel projects the economy to contract 4.6% in 2020, which is down 5.4 percentage points from last month's projection, before growing 4.4% in 2021. Then the Vietnam economic growth. Growth is seen slowing to a decade's low this year as the tourism, retail trade and manufacturing sectors all reel from the impact of the coronavirus. Risks to the outlook center on the length of the coronavirus pandemic and external demand for exports. FocusEconomics panelists project the economy will expand 2.9% in 2020, which is down 2.3 percentage points from last month's forecast, and 7.8% in 2021. The Laos economic growth. Economic output is expected to take a hit this year as consumer spending and investment suffer from the impact of the COVID-19 crisis. Moreover, a weaker Chinese economy will drag on tourism, manufacturing and trade. That said, an expected rebound in agricultural output and strong electricity generation should cushion the slowdown. A precarious fiscal position is a risk to the outlook. FocusEconomics consensus forecast panelists project GDP to expand 2.7% in 2020, which is down 3.7 percentage points from last month's forecast, and 5.7% in 2021. The Myanmar economic growth. The economic outlook has dramatically darkened due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which will batter trade, manufacturing and tourism. Moreover, the global nature of the crisis will likely hurt foreign investment inflows, which could end up delaying investment projects and harms the government's ability to act as it has limited fiscal space. The FocusEconomics consensus forecast panel projects economic growth of 3.5% in 2020, which is down 3.3 percentage points from last month, and 6.6% in 2021. The Cambodia economic growth will slow sharply this year on weaker exports and tourism, amid a tepid Chinese economy, lockdowns in the US and the EU, and reduced access to the EU market due to the partial withdrawal of trade preferences. A possible sharp correction in the real estate sector and a longer than expected downturn in external demand pose downside risks. The panel projects the economy to grow 1.2% in 2020, which is down 5.4 percentage points from last month's estimate, and 5.9% in 2021. Lastly, the Brunei economic growth. Depressed oil prices and broader contagion from the COVID-19 pandemic will notably restrain growth this year. Downside risks to the outlook from low commodity prices remain high. The panel sees GDP expanding 2.1% in 2020, which is unchanged from last month's forecast, and 3.0% in 2021. This video is for informational and educational purpose only. If you enjoy watching this, don't forget to click the like and subscribe button. For more description and clear information, just visit the description box and read some useful information about the impact of COVID-19 in the economy of ASEAN countries.